In One Piece, Captain Kidd is a character that a lot of people seem to think is really dumb, super arrogant, and very immature, and none of those things are actually true about him. But I get it, One Piece is a very long series and people will forget stuff over time, it's been years. So let me do my best in explaining to you why Kidd is actually a very insightful person that becomes a better person and a better pirate as the series goes on. Because when we start from the very beginning, he was always known as like this dude that was very dangerous because civilians actually get hurt when he's around. Not only that, while Luffy will beat other pirates, Kidd will straight up crucify you. But keep in mind, this is past tense. This like happened right before the time skip. After that point, we didn't see him try to do that to people like Apu, even though he hates Apu. And the reason why he didn't try to fight Apu here is because Killer was like, yo, I brought him here to try to make an alliance. And much like how Luffy will listen to Zoro, his number 2, Kidd listened to Killer here. Now, it works against him because both of these dudes end up betraying him, but this leads into like more things that happen with Kidd later that a lot of people like blame Kidd for. One of those things a lot of people blame Kidd for is like being super duper cocky when he's not being cocky at all. Let's not forget he was able to go into Big Mom's territory, injure one of her sweet commanders, take out 2 of her battleships, get a poneglyph rubbing, and then leave. And Kidd taking down those ships in Big Mom's fleet actually was a really big blow, and we find out from Tamago, with him adding on that we're gonna need a lot of money to fix what he just broke. For reference, Luffy and company were still on Fishman Island. So I wouldn't call him cocky if he can back it up to a certain extent, the same way Luffy can. And last I checked, none of us call Luffy cocky. The next thing people say that he's immature for is like trying to do everything by himself or thinking he can do everything by himself, when that's not the case. The truth of the matter is he just does not trust other pirates and he doesn't want to put his trust in others anymore. When Luffy asked him like, do you want to join me because I'm finna fight Kaido too, and Kid was like, no, he turned that down. And then we like flashback down here to Apu and Hawkins and he's like, I'm sick of alliances. And then he says, I don't trust anyone. I don't blame him. So it's a mischaracterization to say that he wants to do everything by himself or thinks he can do everything by himself when we've seen him try to team up with other pirates and that fall flat. It makes perfect sense as to why he did not want to team up with anybody else. But then the beauty of his character is that when he started to see that he actually could rely on Luffy and Law, that dropped and he allowed himself to be a part of their plans. Like he'll tank blows from Big Mom in order to set up Law so we can get Big Mom out of here. He has no problem being a team player, he just wants to make sure it's a team first. Like if we're being honest, the least mature person out of the 3 of these people is actually Law. I know, sounds crazy, but it 100% is Law. And to understand that, you don't gotta look no further than Onigashima. On the rooftop, Kid and Law were ready to lock in, but Law was the only one like, hey, I was gonna bring them downstairs anyway. You made it seem like I was following your order. And Luffy's like, dude, that doesn't even matter. Look at the situation we're in right now. And then later this arc, when Kid like has the realization that he can trust Law and he can trust Luffy to fight Kaido, he tells Big Mom, I feel like I'm being driven by a different purpose now. I do not even care if I die. You're not going to the rooftop. And while it's true, Law says this too. Right afterward, Law is getting on Kid like, you made me hit first and then you attacked afterwards so you could try to get the finishing blow on Big Mom. I'm not your opening act. And Kid's like, dude, who cares? Let it go. We're trying to beat Big Mom here, right? Like while Kid and Luffy are trying to take down these emperors and they're locking in, Law is trying to keep up appearances right now. So Kid is very mature. And he's also a really good captain too because he was able to escape Udon prison on his own. And the only reason he got caught and he was coming back is because Killer got caught and he was coming back. He wasn't about to leave without his crewmate, so he came back into the prison for him. And just so you can really understand how Kid really rides for his crew, keep in mind, this is how Kid used to be in the past, so crucify pirates. He was a very violent dude. That was the reason why his bounty was higher than Luffy's. But in Wano, after Killer ate a smile fruit and he couldn't stop laughing, Kid then says, Kaido, you're gonna pay for making our killer all cheery. And now we have to be one of those cheery pirate crews now. It's like, hey, if my boy's gonna be over here afflicted with permanent laughs, then guess what? We all gonna be laughing over here. I'm just gonna be a more cheery dude. Why? Because he can't help it now. And I know it's not a one-to-one, but that's very similar to what Yasue did with Otama. Man, you ate this smile fruit and you can't help but laugh. All right, I'm gonna take a bite too. And guess what? We both laughing now. Just, Kid's not gonna eat the fruit. He'll just laugh with you. So through this, we know that Kid's not cocky. He only wanted to do things alone because he couldn't trust others. But once he found pirates he could trust, he had no problem putting his life on the line for the sake of the mission. If someone in his crew gets kidnapped, hey, he's gonna break back into jail in order to get them out. And one of the people in your crew stuck with laughter, all right, then guess what? We all laughing now so that you don't feel out of place. Now, as a captain, does he showcase some reckless abandon at times? For sure. All 3 of these guys have, but he's the only one that receives heat for it. Law's recklessness literally dragged Luffy and everybody into the Doflamingo problem. I don't even need to explain Luffy's recklessness, so you already know. Am I saying you have to like Kid as a character? No, if you don't like him, that's your opinion. I can't do nothing about it. But what I am saying is, if you didn't like him because you thought he was cocky, that wasn't the case. If you didn't like him because you thought he didn't care about his crew, that's also not the case. If you didn't like him because you thought he was immature, that's not the case either. So just understand, if you want to hate on him, at least hate on him for something that he actually did, instead of hating on him for something that you thought he did, but you were just wrong.